everyone, welcome to our channel Knowledge of. Friends, subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon for the latest update. आज हम आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस की क्लास करने वाले हैं जो कि क्लास नंबर 15 है। ऑलरेडी हमने 14 क्लासेस कर लिया है जिसमें हमने यूनिट 1, यूनिट 2, यूनिट 3, यूनिट 4 एंड यूनिट 5 कंप्लीट कर लिया है ऑलरेडी। एंड यूनिट की बात करते हैं। उसके बाद हमने कंटिन्यू किया था कि जो शॉर्ट आंसर पॉसिबल 2 मार्क्स पॉसिबल क्वेश्चंस हैं, तो वो यूनिट 1 के हम ऑलरेडी कर चुके हैं, यूनिट 2 शॉर्ट आंसर्स कर चुके हैं, यूनिट 3 शॉर्ट आंसर्स कर चुके हैं। आज क्लास में हम जो करेंगे वो यूनिट 4 एंड यूनिट 5 दोनों ही यूनिट के करेंगे। सारे जो भी 2 मार्क्स के पॉसिबल क्वेश्चंस हैं, starting with the unit 4, that is your machine learning. Before that, it's a huge request from my side to all the viewers, please go through with the subscribe button and please like, share and subscribe our channel, so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. And in the same reference towards it, let's go ahead with the machine learning 2 marks possible question. The first we'll discuss about the memory based question. Memory based question. As of last 3 unit, we had covered up about memory based questions, application based questions, and many more that what we'll discussed as well here, that is your evaluation based question as well. So we'll come do for the same for unit 4 as well as for unit 5 here. So in the same reference towards it, for the memory based question, the first question is your that what are the major paradigm of the machine learning. So the paradigm of machine learning. Paradigm of machine learning, there are that is your 7 paradigm of machine learning. So the first paradigm, we have the major paradigm of machine learning. We have the first, we have is your that is your rote learning. Where in the same case, after that second we have your induction. This is the another paradigm of machine learning. The third, we have your clustering. The fourth, we have analogy. The fifth we have is your that is your discovery. The sixth we have is your that is your genetic algorithm. With the same references for the genetic that is your algorithm. The another one, we the last we have the seventh one is your reinforcement, and that is your the seventh one, and the seventh one is reinforcement. I will go ahead with this. That is, write down the important components of learning, and even though that has also been asked of memory based questions of 2 marks, so let's go ahead with it. And that is your important components of learning. Of learning. In the important components of learning here, that is we have 2 components of learning, and that is the first is your acquisition of new knowledge. Acquisition of new knowledge. And the second one we have here is your problem solving. The another one, other than that, if I'm talking about the another question is, let's out the performances measures for the learning, and for that the performances measure of learning will discussed here. That has also been asked of 2 marks. Performance measure measure of learning here. And so there we have your five performance measures for the learning. And for that sake, the first we have here is your generality. The second we have efficiency. And of course the third we have here is your, that is robustness. The fourth we have here is efficacy. And of course the fifth we have here is your ease of implementation. In this reference towards it, like now we'll go ahead to discuss about it, like explain learning agent. And in the same case, for the learning agent, we will be having to discuss, that has also been asked of 2 marks. So in the learning agent, that is your, an agent is a learning agent if it is improves its performances on new unknown data over time after it has seen many training examples. And a learning agent is a function which maps a feature vector to a discrete class value, or in general to the real numbers as well. In the same case, going ahead with it, and that what we have to discuss about the advantages of decision tree. Now we'll discuss about advantages of decision tree. In the advantages of decision tree, we have a 4 advantages of decision tree. The first advantages is that is simple to understand and interpret. The second is have value even with a little hard data. And the third is that use a white box model. And the fourth advantages is that can be combined with the other decision technique as well. Now we'll go ahead with the another one, and that what we have to discuss, that is the another question is overfitting. In the term of overfitting here, that is whenever there is a large set of possible hypotheses and one has to be careful not to use the resulting freedom to find the meaningless regularity in the data. And this problem is called overfitting, and it occurs when the target function is not all random. Going ahead with it, and that what we have to discuss is your, what are the issue related to the application of decision tree. In the application of the decision tree, if I'm talking about, so there are 4 issues related to the application of decision tree are: the first is the missing data, the second is the multi-valued attribute, the third is the continuous and integer valued input attribute, the fourth is your continuous valued output attribute as well. Going ahead, that we have to discuss about it, that that is the possible questions of 2 marks, is you discuss the term Bayesian learning. So in this, the Bayesian learning, if I'm talking about Bayesian learning, in the Bayesian learning simply calculates the popularity, that the probability of each hypothesis, and makes the predictions on that basis, and that the predictions are made by using the entire hypothesis or weighted by their possibilities rather than by just using a single best hypothesis. And in this way, learning is reduced to the probabilistic inferences. And now we'll go ahead to discuss about what is learning with complete data. So in the learning with the complete data, the development of the statistical learning method begins with the simplest task, that is the parameter learning with the complete data. It involves finding the numerical parameter for the probability model and whose structures is fixed, and a data is set to be a complete when each data point contains the value for every variable in a probability model being learned, and complete data specifies that the problem of the learning that the parameter of a complex model as well. Going ahead with the detail, and that what we have to discuss in this only, and that is in the terms of like briefly explain learning with a hidden data EM algorithm. In this, that the EM algorithm is an efficient iterative procedures to compute the maximum likelihood estimate in the presence of that missing or a hidden data. In ML estimation, we wish to estimate the model parameter for which the observed data are the most likely. And in the expectations or E step, the missing data are estimated given the observed data and a current estimate of the model parameters. And in the M step, that the likelihood function is maximized under the assumptions that the missing data are known as well. Going ahead with what are the types of nodes in the decision tree. So the types of nodes, in the terms of the types of nodes here, that the types of nodes in a decision tree we have, and that is the first we have is your decision node. The second we have is your chance node, and the third we have is your end nodes. So in the same case, now we'll discuss the unsupervised clustering. So in the unsupervised clustering, that is the unsupervised clustering is the problem of discovering the multiple categories in a collections of object, and the problem is unsupervised because the category labels are not given, and unsupervised clustering begins with data as well. Going ahead with the detail, we'll have to discuss about name the terms by which the learning agent is characterized, and there are the five terms, that is the task, variable agent, training data, test data, and performance measure. These were the terms by which the learning agent is characterized here. And in the same way, we'll go ahead with a further one, and that what is your different statistical learning method. So we have here that is the different statistical learning model we have. First we have is your probabilistic relational model. The second is your stochastic logic problem, and the third is your Bayesian logic problem, and of course the fourth one is the relation Markov network as well. In the same case, the fifth we have Markov logic networks, and the sixth we have the other TLAs as well. The other question is give the steps to solve the problem of supervised learning. So here, that is to determine the type of the training example. The second is to gathering a training set, and the third is to determine the input feature representations of learn function, and the fourth is to determine the structures of learn function and algorithm, and of course the fifth is to complete the design here. Now these were the memory questions that comes under the that is the steps to solve the problem to the supervised learning here. Let's go ahead to discuss about the application based question, that what we have to discuss here. In the terms of the application based question, this was the first question is to depict the learning model with the help of a diagram. So there are many diagrams to solve it out, and we'll go ahead with the detail as well. So here, application based questions that we'll discuss here. So in this, the first question is that learning model, we have to depict the learning model with the help of a diagram. So here we'll go ahead. So after that, we have the learner column. Then we have here predict performance evaluator, which gives feedback, and then we have your knowledge base, that is your bidirectional. Then we have your performance component, and this is a bidirectional. And in the same case, if I'm talking, this is a general learning model. In this, if I'm talking about in a detail, this is your environment or teacher. This is your learner component. This is stimuli example. And from here, this is the critic performance evaluator. Which gives feedback. And this is a knowledge bus. And this is your performance component. From performance component, it will go and response towards the critic performance evaluator. And from critic performance evaluator, it will give a task to the performance component here. Okay, so this is a general learning model. Now we'll go ahead with the detail with another one, and that is to represent the diagrammatically the block diagram of unsupervised learning. So let's go ahead for that as well. This is your environment which goes to the learning system. This is your block diagram of unsupervised learning. In this, if I'm talking about, this is a vector describing state of the environment. Vector describing state of the environment. Here we have environment, and here it is learning system. This is a block diagram of unsupervised learning. Now we'll go ahead with the detail. The other question, with the help of a diagram, show the following nodes in the decision tree. So first we will have to show the decision node, the channel node, and the end nodes as well. So in the same reference towards it, we will be representing a new decision tree where it will goes if the value would be true or false, that will represent it here. And in the same case, that is very easy, and as well as that is very important as well. The another thing what they can ask you is show the influence diagram of decision tree. So the influence diagram of decision tree we have to follow. Influence diagram of decision tree. In this we have first R&D success, then we have sales, we have R&D investment decisions, and then we have a not profit. So they are interlinked to one another. So this is how they are connected. This is your R&D success, this is sales, this is not profit, and this is R&D investment decision. Now we'll talk about another diagram, that is your diagrammatically show with the help of an example the conditional probability table in the naive-Bayes model. So where the burglary, earthquakes, and John calls Mary calls, that alarm will be true and false, that will find it out the probability as well. And now we'll go ahead with another question, and that is your evaluation based question. Evaluation based question. In this evaluation based question, there are 3 questions that we'll discuss in this reference towards this unit. The first question is, this learning defines what to do, how to map situations to actions so as to maximize and numerical the reward signal, and the learner is not told which action to take as in most forms of machine learning, and it is defined not by characterizing the learning method but by characterizing a learning problem. So name the learning method. We have to name the learning method as well. In this, that the question is, this learning defines what to do, how to map situation to action so as to maximize a numerical reward signal. The learner is not told which action to take as in most form of machine learning. It is not by characterizing the learning methods but by characterizing a learning problem. Name the learning method. That the learning method is that is reinforcement learning. Another question is that this algorithm is an efficient iterative procedure to compute the maximum likelihood in the presence of hiding data. Predict the algorithm. We have to predict the algorithm. The question is, this algorithm is an efficient iterative procedure to compute the maximum likelihood in the presence of hiding data and predict the algorithm. So for that sake, we have the algorithm, that is your EM algorithm. Another question is to identify the learning. This learning method ranges from simple calculations of average to the constructions of complex models such as Bayesian and neural network. The main point of this learning is map and maximum likelihood instance-based model, etc. So that we have here is a statistical learning. The statistical learning here as well. Let's go ahead with another one, and that what we have to discuss in the reference towards the fourth unit, and that is in regard of it, that what we have to understood about it, and in the same terms of it, there are many questions that has been asked, and in the reference towards those particular questions, which is also plays an important role as well in the term of it, unit 4 and unit 5 as well. So here there are not that much questions, but there are the possible questions, that is the question learning. The first question, the first theory question, they can ask you, define inductive learning and how the performance of inductive learning algorithm that can be measured. So in that same case, that has been asked for 15, 16 of 2 marks. So in the same case, that the inductive learning is the process of acquiring the generalized knowledge from example or instance of same class. This form of learning is accomplished through the inductive inferences, where the performance of inductive learning algorithm is measured by their learning curve, which shows the predictions accuracy as a function of the number of observed examples as well. This comes under the inductive learning here. Let's go ahead with another one, that is the state the factor that plays a role in the design of the learning system, which is asking 15, 16 of 2 marks. So the factors that plays a role in design of learning systems here, the first we have your data, the second is model selection, the third is learning, and the fourth is application, which is evaluation. The another question is define reinforcement learning. So in the reinforcement learning, which has been asked in 16, 17 2 marks. So reinforcement learning is the study of how animals and artificial systems that can learn to optimize their behavior in the face of rewards and punishment. The another question is list out the performance measures for learning. For that is has been asked on 17, 18 here. So in this, the performance measures for the learning are, that is your generality, efficiency, robustness, efficacy, and ease of implementation as well. Now the another question what they can arise is what are the types of the nodes in the decision tree. So in that same case, the types of nodes in a decision tree, there are 3 types of nodes in decision tree, which has been asked in 17 and 18 of 2 marks. The first is a root node or a decision node, which is it represents a choice that will result in the subdivisions of all records in the 2 or more mutually exclusive subset. The second is internal node, which is chance node, and it represents one of the possible choices available at that point in the tree structure, and the top edge of the node is connected to the parent node and the bottom edge is connected to its child node or a leaf node as well. The third we have is your leaf node or an end node. In this, it represents the final results of the combinations of decisions or events here. The another question what they can ask you is, let's out the applications areas of machine learning, which has been asked in 1819 of 2 marks. So application area of machine learning are the financial services, marketing and sales, government, healthcare, and of course the transportation. There are the 5 application areas of machine learning. The first is the financial services, marketing and sales, government, healthcare, transportation as well. Going ahead with a detail that is your that defines supervised and unsupervised learning in a machine learning. So that is your has been asked of 2 marks in 1890. The supervised learning states that the supervised learning is also known as associative learning, in which the network is trained by providing it with input and matching output pattern as well. In unsupervised learning is also known as or self-organization, in which an output unit is trained to respond to clusters of patterns within the output as well. The another question is, what is decision tree, which has been asked of 2 marks, which has been asked in 18 and 19. A decision tree is a decision support tool that uses a tree like a graph or a model of decision and their possible consequences, including the chance events of outcomes and resources, cost and utility as well. The another question is, write down the advantages and disadvantages of reinforcement learning. So the advantages of reinforcement learning is that to maximize the performance, sustain change for a long period of time, and third is to increase behavior as well. In the same case, if I'm talking about here in a detail, that is the another question. In the same cases, that is the disadvantages of reinforcement learning, that too much reinforcement that can lead to overhead of states, which can diminish the results as well. The second disadvantages of reinforcement learning is it only provides enough to meet up the minimum behavior as well. The another question is, define the types of reinforcement learning. In this, that the types of reinforcement learning is, the first is the positive reinforcement learning and the second is the negative reinforcement learning. These were the 2 types of reinforcement here. Let's go ahead with another unit, and that is your pattern recognition, which is of unit 5 of 2 marks possible question that we deal with it. In unit 5, that is what we have to discuss as your unit 5, and that is your pattern recognition. In pattern recognition, first we'll discuss about it the memory based question, as I told you about, and that is the memory based question, which is very important, as I told you, and I will deal with it. Memory based questions. In the memory based questions here, in this, that the first question arises is, what are the design principles of pattern recognition system? So the design principles of pattern recognition systems are, the first is the structural representations of pattern, and the second is the syntactical classification, and third is your symbolic description as well. And the other question is, write down the some applications of pattern recognition. So if I'm talking about the applications of pattern recognition here, in the terms of application of pattern recognition, there are 6 applications. The first application we have is your image preprocessing. The second application we have computer vision. The third we have speech recognition. The fourth we have is your medical diagnosis. And the fifth we have is your data mining. The sixth we have is your fingerprint identification. Now we'll talk about another question, that is, what are the components used to design a pattern recognition system? So they're talking about the components here. And the components the components that are used to design a pattern recognition. So here that we have 5 components, and the first we have is just sensing. The second we have is segmentation and grouping. The third we have is your feature extraction. The fourth we have classification. And the fifth we have is your post processor. Now I'll talk about another one, that is another possible question. Write down the activities used to design a pattern recognition. So talking about activities here, in the terms of activities here, so there are 5 activities as well. So the first activity is your data collection. The second activity is your feature choice. The third is your model choice. The fourth is your training. And the fifth we have evaluation. Now we'll talk about another one, that is named the parameter estimation method, that is a PEM. And there are the 2 types of parameter estimation method. The first is your principal component analysis, which is PCA, and the second is your linear discriminant analysis, which is LDA. Talking about write down the applications of LDA. So the application of LDA we have is your bankruptcy predictions, face recognition, and marketing. Now the another one is your explained bias classifier. First we had discussed about the parameter estimation. Method, as I told you, there are the 2 methods. Then we had discussed about application of LDA. Now we'll talk about bias classifier. In the bias classifier is a simple probabilistic classifier based on applying terms, and that is your based on applying bias theorem with a strong independence assumption. And in simple term, a naive-based classifier assumes that the presence of a particular feature of a class is unrelated to the presence of any other feature, and advantages of this is that it requires a small amount of training data to estimate the parameters necessary for the classification as well. Talking about another thing, that is your what is artificial neural network. Artificial neural network. In the terms of artificial neural network here, an artificial neural network, often just called a neural network, is an interconnected group of artificial neurons, and that uses a mathematical model or the computational model for the information processing based on the connectionist approach to the computation as well. Talking about another one, and which we have is your types of neural networks. And in the types of neural network, where we have 4 types of neural network here. Types of neural network. In the types of neural network, there are the 4 types of neural network here. That is, the first is your single layer perception. The second we have is your multi-layer perception. The third we have is your, that is Adeline, and the fourth we have, that is your coherent self-organizing network. Now we'll talk about another one, that is your defined coherent self-organizing network here, the fourth one, which is the self-organizing map, that is a SOM invented by a Tenvo coherent users to the form of unsupervised learning, and a set of an artificial neuron learned to map points in an input space to coordinate in an output space, and that the input space that can have a different dimensions and topology from the output space, and a SOM will attempt to preserve these as well. Talking about the another one that we have is your clustering here. Then the clustering is the process of grouping or classifying objects on the basis of the close association or a shared characteristics. The object that can be physically or abstract entities, and that the characteristics that can be attribute value or relations among the objects, and the combinations of both. The clustering is an essential is a discovery learning process in which the similarity patterns are found among a group of objects as well. Now we'll discuss about the application based question. In the application based question, if I'm talking about here, so in this the first question is that the diagrammatically show the design cycle of the pattern recognition. So we have to show the design cycle of pattern recognition with the form of design issue. So here we'll go ahead. And that is your comes under edit. And here or after that we will be going ahead with the end up here. This is the design cycle. In this with the help of this I will be going to explain it. This is the start. This is to collect data. And this is the start, then where they collect the data and then they choose the feature, then choose model, and then of course they train classifier, then they evaluate classifier. They will end up, and these two, the choose features and the choose model, combinedly known as the prior knowledge. Now we'll talk about the another diagram here, that is your represent the model of the pattern classifier with the help of a diagram. So let's go ahead. This is the sensor, then this is your feature sector and extractor, then it will go to the classifier, and then that is the decision here. So for the naming itself, let's go ahead. This is sensor, this is a representation pattern, this is your feature selector, and extractor, this feature pattern, and this is your classifier, this is your decision, this is a pattern classifier. In this, now we'll go ahead to discuss about show the architecture of neural network. So the architecture of neural network here, we will be having this is an output, this is hidden, and this is input. So here this is combined with this, and of course with this. And other than that, if talking about this is communicated with each and everything. This is also communicated with each and everything. And here with the help of it, it will connect it with this. This is connected with this. Even though this is connected with this, with reference towards it, it is connected towards it, and this is connected towards it. This is an output. So this is a neural network, a sort of a neural network here. Let's go ahead with another one, that is your right algorithm for the k-means clustering. For the k-means clustering algorithm, if I'm talking about algorithm, in this, that place place k points into a space represented by an object that are being clustered, and these points represent the initial group centroids, and then assign each object to the group that has closest centroid, and when all the objects have been assigned, recalculate the positions of k centroid, and then report say the second step and the third step until the centroids no longer move as well. In the same case, write down the algorithm for PCA, which I have told you about. PCA algorithm is that to get the data and subtract the mean, and then calculate the covariance matrix, eigenvectors, eigenvalues, and the covariance matrix as well, and then choosing components and forming a feature vector, and then deriving the new data set as well. Going ahead with the detail, we'll have to solve it out, and that is your evaluation based question. In the term of it, evaluation based question here, the first evaluation based question in this, that this pattern recognition is used to cover all the stages of the investigation from problem formulations and the data collection through the discriminations and classification. In this, recognition is done by classifying the input category, identify the pattern recognition approach. We have to find out the identify the pattern recognition approach. The question I will repeat once, and this pattern recognition is used to cover all stages of investigation from problem formulations and the data collection through discriminations and classification. In this, recognition is done by classifying the input categories, identify the pattern recognition approach. In this, the first will be, the answer is your statistical pattern approach. Another question we have here is, this classification technique is a set of related supervised learning method that analyzes the data and recognizes the pattern used for classification and regression. It constructs a hyperplane or a set of hyperplanes in a high dimensional space, predict the classification technique as well. In the same case, if I'm talking about, I repeat the question, that this classification technique is a set of related supervised learning method that analyzes the data and recognizes the pattern used for the classification and regression. It constructs a hyperplane or a set of hyperplanes in a higher dimensional space, predict the classification technique as well. The second we have here is your, that is support vector machine. The third we have is your, that this neural network is capable of calculating your the numbers within the neuron that shows that each neuron's explicit threshold, and they uses a variety of learning technique, and layers in the neural network are connected in a feed forward way. And predict the type of the neural network, we have to predict the type of a neural network as well. So the question I repeat once, that is your this neural network is capable of calculating the ZAR and the numbers within the neurons, and shows that each neuron's explicit threshold, and they use the variety of the learning technique and the layers in the neural network and connect it in feed forward way, and that predict the type of the neural network as well. And that will we have also is multi-layer neural network. Now we'll go ahead with a further one, and that is your the fifth unit, the another theory questions that will deal with it, and that is your the pattern recognition. That what are the features of pattern recognition? In that way, the features of the pattern recognitions that we'll discuss here, and that is the pattern recognition system that should recognize the familiar pattern quickly and accurate, and it recognizes and classifies the unfamiliar object as well, and that it accurately recognizes the shapes and objects from the different angles, and it identifies the pattern and objects even when partly hidden, and it recognizes the pattern quickly with ease and with automaticity here. Then the question is that support vector machine, that is SVM, and that has been asked in 15/16 2 marks question. Support vector machine, which is SVM. In this support vector machine here, that a support vector machine is a machine learning algorithm that analyzes the data for the classification and regression analysis, and SVM is a supervised learning method that looks at data and sorts it into one of the two categories as well. The another question is that is to discuss the various types of model of parallel algorithm with an example. So the various types of model we'll talk about. Various types of models of parallel algorithm. In this, the various types of the models of parallel algorithm we have here. The first is your data parallel model. In the data parallel model, the tasks are assigned to the processes, and each task performs similar types of operations on a different data. For example, dense matrix multiplication as well. The second we have is the task graph model. In the task graph model here, that is that in the task graph model, parallelism is expressed by a task graph, and a task graph that can be either trivial or non-trivial. For example, the parallel quick sort as well. The third we have is your work pool model. In the work pool model here, that tasks are dynamically assigned to a processes for balancing the load. Therefore, any process that may potentially execute any task, for example, the parallel tree search. The fourth we have here, that is your pipeline model. In the pipeline model, it is also known as the producer-consumer model, and here a set of data is passed through a series of processes, each of which performs some task on it, and for example, the parallel LU factorization algorithm as well. Now we'll talk about another one, that is your hybrid model, and in this the another one is your fifth one, that is your hybrid model. In the hybrid model, a hybrid algorithm model is required, and when more than one model may be needed to solve a problem, and a hybrid model is composed of either multiple models, applied hierarchy, or a sequentially to a different phase of parallel algorithm. For example, the parallel quick sort as well. Talking about the applications here, so in this, that the application of pattern recognition. In this application of pattern recognitions here, talking about it, so there are many, but we'll discuss about it. That has been asked of 2 marks, so we'll just give it as 4 applications. The first is your image processing, second is computer vision, third is speech recognition, and the fourth is the fingerprint identification as well. What are the types of neural networks? So the types of neural network that has been asked in 17-18 of 2 marks. There are 5 types of neural network. The first is your feed-forward neural network, single-layer perception, multi-layer perception, Adaline, and coherent self-organizing network as well. Now we'll go ahead with the other one, and that what we have to discuss about it, that the difference between the classification and regression. In the classification and the regression, if I'm talking about, and regression, and the difference between the classification and the regressions here, there are, that has been also asked for 2 marks in 18 and 19. The classification is a task of predicting a discrete class label, and in regression is the task of the predicting a continuous quantity. In classification, a classification algorithm that may predict a continuous value, but the continuous value is in the form of the probability for a class label. And in regression, a regression algorithm that may predict a discrete value, but the discrete value is in the form of the integer quantity as well. In the classification predictions that can be evaluated using the accuracy, and in the regression form, if I'm talking about here, that is the regression prediction that can be evaluated using the root mean squared error as well. Now we'll go ahead with further one, and that what we have to discuss about it, discuss the feature of support, that is support vector machine here in this. If I'm talking about the feature of support vector machine, the features of support vector machines are as to be follows. The first we have is your flexibility in choosing a similarity function. The second is the sparseness of solutions when dealing with a large data set, and the third is the ability to handle the large feature spaces as well. Talking about the next question is your, that is what are the design principles of pattern recognition system. So the design principles of pattern recognition system are as, that is the statistical approach and the syntactic approach as well. Now we'll go ahead with another one, that is write down the activities used to design a pattern recognition system here. That is true as of the recognition system. So there are the activities, there are the 5 activities. The first is your data collection, feature choice, model choice, training and evaluation, and they told you about in the form of the diagram as well. And in the same case, the another question that has been asked related to this unit, and the last question as well, that what are the components used to design a pattern recognition system. So the component used to design a pattern recognition systems, we have the first is your sensing, second is segmentation and grouping, third is feature extraction, fourth is classification, and the fifth is post-processor as well. Now we'll deal with some of the questions related to that what they had asked you about. In 2014 and 2015, artificial intelligence, what the questions are asked is your that is the attempt 4 parts of the following. In this, that they had asked you about 5 marks. And the questions are as to be follows, like what are the different branches of artificial intelligence, discuss some of the branches and progress made in their fields, and that we had done in unit 1. You can go through with that. The another question is why is game playing is a good candidate of AI, and that is explained. This is from unit 2. We had done that. And the third question, write a short note on the foundations of AI, which is from again unit 1, and which we had done even though you can go through with the unit 1 playlist. Then the question is describe the role of the computer vision in artificial intelligence, again from unit 1, and which we had done even though. Another question, what do you mean by the agent and an agent program? How do you ensure that an agent program is an intelligent agent program? That is from also unit 1, which we had done. The another question is describe the role of the artificial intelligence in the natural language processing, which is also again from unit 1, even though which we had done. The other question is from attempt any four parts of the following, and that is also 5 marks. So here the first question is, what are the difference parameter used to evaluate a search technique, which is from unit 2, which we had done. The another question, prove the breadth first search is a special case of uniform first search, which we had done, and which is from unit 2. You can go through with the playlist of unit 2 as well. The another question is, what is production system? Explain the various types of production system, again from unit 2 of 5 marks, which we had done. We have the production rule for the traveling salesman problem. Consider the 4 cities A, B, C, D are given. That is from unit 2, which we had done. Why heuristic search is better than blind search? That is from unit 2, and which we had done even though. We give an examples of a game tree, and what is the purpose of minimax procedure in a game tree? That is also from unit 2, and that we had done. So then we have another questions, attempt any 2 parts of the following, and which is your of 10 marks, and each question is very important. That's the reason I will tell you each and every question that we had done, and even though that has been asked of your examination paper, so that you can revise it out, you can go through with that, and you can just gone through with that question from their units, and you will be able to know how and from which unit the questions come from, how many marks here. Then the question is that briefly describe the meaning of knowledge representation and knowledge acquisition. What procedure is followed for a knowledge acquisition? Explain. This has been asked of 10 marks from unit 3, which we had done. The another question is, translate the following sentences into formulas in a predicate logic and a clausal form, that John likes all kinds of food, apples are food, chicken is a food, anything anyone eats is not killed by is food, and Bills eat peanuts and is still alive. Sue eats everything Bill eats. So that is also from unit 3, and we had done that. What is probabilistic reasoning? Also describe the role HHM in probabilistic reasoning, which is from unit 3, which we had done. And attempt 2 parts of the following. The first is what is clustering? Describe K-means clustering technique, which is of 10 marks, and which we had to do, and which we had done in unit 5th. And explain learning with a complete data naive-based models and learning with hidden data EM algorithm, which is from unit 4, and we had done. Explain the following terms, that is maximum posteriori, that is your map here, which we had done, and the maximum likelihood hypothesis from unit 4, even though that we had done. The another question is explain how PCA is used in pattern recognition. Describe parameter estimation methods in the pattern recognition from unit 5, which we had done. Describe in a brief the various features, extractions, and the selections method in a pattern recognition, which is from unit 5, which we had done even though. And they explain speech recognition in a detail, writes its application, that is from unit 5, which we had done even though. The another question paper is from 15 and 16 of artificial intelligence here, and that is the questions that has been asked of that is of 2 marks each. Define support vector machine from unit 5, which we had done. The another question is describe the role of the computer vision from unit 1, which we had done. What do you mean by the intelligent agent? That we had done from unit 1. Define information equivalence and the computational equivalence from unit 3rd, we had done. Discuss the various types of model and parallel algorithm with example. This is from unit 5, we had done. Define modus ponens rules in a propositional logic. That is from unit 3rd, we had done. Define inductive learning, how the performance of inductive learning algorithm that can be measured, is from unit 4, that we had done. And state the factors that plays a role in the design of learning system, which is from unit 4, which we had done. Describe how can we use artificial intelligence in a natural language processing, and that has been asked, and that is of we had done here, and that is from unit 1 of 2 marks. And that is the another question, that is describe the role of the rational agent of unit 1 from unit 1, that we had even though done. Now the another question is that is your the another question that is of that is of 10 marks, and that is it describe AO abstract app search technique from unit 2, which we had done. What is intelligent agent? Describe basic kinds of agent programs from unit 1, we had done. Distinguish between Markov model and a hidden Markov model, which is HHM, and that is from unit 1, which we had done. Distinguish that we had done, and draw a diagram of HHM and show what is the hidden part of and it that we refer, that is from unit 3rd, we had done. The another question is to translate the following sentences in the formulas in a predicate logic and a causal form The question is, the mutton is a food. Anything one eats, it does not kill as a food. Rajiv eats everything that a stew eats, and that Ken eats peanuts and is still alive. And John will marry Mary if Mary loves John. So that is from unit 3rd, and that we have done. Then solve the crypto arithmetic problem, that is cent plus money more, that is equals to money, that we had done, even though from unit 2. And then discuss the problem of the water jug with a heuristic search technique, that we had done, that is from unit 2 here as well. What are the desirable properties of a good knowledge representation schemes, from unit 3rd we had done. Explain Bayesian network by taking an example, and how is the base Bayesian network powerful representation for the uncertainty knowledge, that is from unit 3rd that we had done. Explain about the hill climbing algorithm with its drawback and how it can be overcome, that is from unit 2 that we had done. And then the right steps involved in making a principal components to do a classification of a given table, and that is from unit 5 that we had done. And determine the two principal components of the following sets of observation of two-dimensional data having a 5D sample, that is from unit 5 we had done. Explain the min-max procedure and describe alpha beta pruning, and give the other modifications to the min-max procedure to improve its performances, from unit 2 we had done. The another is write a short note on EVM algorithm, which is from unit 4 we had done. Support vector machine from unit 5 we had done. Backtracking from unit 2 we had done. The another question paper is your 1617, and that is state the significance of using heuristic function, which is of 2 marks from unit 2, and distinguish between the state space search and planned space search, from unit 2 we had done, of 2 marks. List 2 applications of hidden Markov model here, that is from unit 3 that we had done, of 2 marks. List various criteria for the success in AI, from unit 1 that 2 marks we had done, and that is what is semantic analysis, explain, from unit 3rd we had done. And that is what are various issues in the knowledge representations, that is from unit 3rd we had done. And what do you mean by a local maxima with respect to the search technique, and that is from unit 2 we had done. And list out down the 2 applications of the temporal probabilistic models, that is from unit 3rd we had done. What are the limitations in using the propositional logic to represent the knowledge base, from unit 3rd we had done. And define reinforcement learning, unit 4 we had done. Attempt all the 5 questions for the sections here, that is we have to do, and that is of 10 marks, and which is your explain your abstract algorithm with a suitable example, state the limitations in the algorithm, from unit 2 we had done. Explain the constraint satisfaction procedure to solve the crypto arithmetic problem, that is cross plus roads equals to danger, from unit 2 we had done. What are the planning graphs? Explain the methods of the planning and acting in the real world. This is from unit 3 and we had done. What is resolution? Discuss the role of the resolution in the predicate logic, from unit 3 we had done. What are the various procedures, system characteristics? Define the various issues involved in the design of such problem, that is programs, that is from unit 2 we had done. Explain in the detail of the characteristics and the applications of learning agent, from unit 1 that we had done. Explain the unifications algorithm and use for the reasoning under the predicate logic with an example, that is from unit 3rd we had done. Explain the method of handling approximate inferences in the Bayesian network, and which is from unit 3rd we had done. Attempt 2 of the following, that explain the use of the hidden Markov models in the speech recognition, from unit 3rd we had done, and that is of course marks 15. And discuss the various approaches of NLP, from unit 1, which we had done, and that is of 15 marks as well. The another is what is the problem space here, and that is how problems that can be defined as state space, that is such, and that is from unit 2, which we had done, of 5 marks. And explain the min-max algorithm with example, from unit 2 that we had done. And what are the heuristic search technique in the AI? Explain any one in each, and that is from unit 2 we had done. Write a short note on a conceptual dependency. So here we'll go ahead with another one, and that is your write a short note on a conceptual dependencies, from the unit 1. And what do you mean by the representation instance and the ISA relationship, that is from unit 3rd, and that is from unit 3rd we had done. Elaborate forward and a backward chaining, that is from unit 3rd, and that we had done. Consider the problem of learning to play tennis, and are there aspects of the learning that are supervised learning? Is this supervised learning or reinforcement learning? And that is from unit 4, and which we had done, even though. The another question is from 2017 and 18, and that is of artificial intelligence, that what are the goals of AI, from unit 1 we had done. For what is Turing test, that is from unit 1 we had done. Define uninformed search from Unit 2 we had done. Write a short note on a horizon effect from Unit 2 we had done. Various schemes of knowledge representation from Unit 3 we had done. Define inferences from Unit 3 we had done. List out the performances measure for the learning. Unit 4 we had done. What are the types of the nodes in the decision tree? That is from Unit 4 we had done. And write down some applications of the pattern recognition. Unit 5 from we had done. What are the types of neural networks from Unit 5 we had done. And the three questions that are based of 10 marks, and that is to define the role of the machine intelligence in the human life, that is from Unit 1 we had done, and prove the breadth first search and the depth first search are the spatial cases of best first search from Unit 2 we had done. Explain the conversion and procedures of the given formula into the normal form from Unit 3 we had done. Illustrate decision trees technique using a suitable example from Unit 4 we had done. Discuss the classification approach of the pattern recognition from Unit 5 we had done. Even though the another question is that is of 10 marks, that describe the role of the computer vision in the artificial intelligence from Unit 1 we had done. Describe the role of the artificial intelligence in the natural language processing from Unit 1 we had done of 10 marks. And that is also the another question we have to do in of 10 marks, that is how branch and bound technique could be used to find the shortest path solution to the traveling salesman problem. Discussed that from Unit 2 we had done. Solve the following CSP problem to the crypt arithmetic, that is a problem cent plus more equals to money, and that is from Unit 2 we had done. And attempt any one part of the following here, and that is of course that the define hidden Markov model and illustrate the HHM are used to be speech recognition from Unit 3 we had done. If the price falls, then sell increase, and if sell increases, then John makes the whole money. And with the same regard of it, that but John does not make a whole money, and therefore the prices do not fall, and that is from Unit 3 we had done. Attempt one part of the following. Describe the statistical learning model in a detail from Unit 4 and discrete models that maximum likelihood parameters, learning continuous models, and write a short note on the linear discriminant analysis, which is LDA, and explain how the PCA is useful for the pattern recognition. Describe the parameter estimation method in a pattern recognition from Unit 5, which we had done even though. Let's go ahead with another one and the last question paper, which is of 18 and 19, and that is define a learning agent, that is with the help of an architecture. It's of 2 marks. What is computer vision? Define the time and space complexity, DFS search strategies, state soundness properties of the inferences, and the pairs, that is a piece means the satellite agent. List out the application area of the machine learning and define supervised and unsupervised learning in a machine learning. What is decision tree? Differentiate between the classification and regression, and discuss the features of the support vector machine. All these we had done. And even though that state various properties of the environment, what is the role of the NLP in the AI, and illustrate the various phases in NLP. Discuss the problem of the hill climbing algorithm. Apply k-means algorithm for the clustering data with the help of an example. Analyzes the properties, the various features, extractions and selections methods in the pattern recognition as well. That all we had done. Attempt one of the following, like they had asked you about 10 marks. Describe briefly the evolutions of the artificial intelligence. List criteria to measure the performances of the different search strategies. Differentiate between the forward and a backward chaining of the inferences with the help of an example. What is heuristic function? Differentiate between blind search and a heuristic search strategies. What is propositional logic? Define the various inferences rule with the help of an example. What is reinforcement learning? Difference between active and a passive reinforcement learning as well. And then we have a 10 marks, that what do you mean understand by information gain, and how it is calculated. What is regression? Compare between linear regression and non-linear regression. What do you mean by the dimension reduction? Discuss principal component analysis for dimensions reduction. What is the Bayesian theory? Explain the role of the prior probability in a that is the posterior probability in a Bayesian classifier. That all we had done here. So first of all, it's a huge request from my side to all the viewers. Please go through with the subscribe button, and please like, share and subscribe our channel, so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. In the terms of it, Unit 1, what we talked about is that is your introduction, what we had done. Introduction to Artificial Intelligence, Foundation and History of Artificial Intelligence, Application of Artificial Intelligence, Intelligent Agent, Structures of Intelligent Agent, Computer Vision, Natural Language Processing. In Unit 2, Introduction to Search, that is Introduction to Search, Searching for the Solution, and Informed Search Strategies, Informed Search Strategies, Local Search Algorithms, and Optimistic Problem, Adversarial Search, Search for Games, Alpha Beta Pruning. Unit 3, Knowledge Representation and Reasoning, Knowledge Representation and Reasoning, Propositional Logic, to do the first order logic, inferences in the first order logic, forward and a backward chaining, resolution, probabilistic reasoning, utility theory, hidden Markov model, Bayesian network. In Unit 4, Machine Learning, that is a Machine Learning, Supervised and Unsupervised Learning, Decision Tree, Statistical Learning Models, Learning with a Complete Data, Naive-Bayes Model, Learning with a Hidden Data, EM Algorithm, Reinforcement Learning. In a Unit 5, Pattern Recognition, we have to cover up of the pattern recognition, introduction, design principles of pattern recognition system, statistical predict pattern recognition, that is your parameter estimation method, principal component analysis, and a linear discriminant analysis, classifier technique, nearest neighbor rule, Bayes classifier, support vector machine, and k-means clustering. And even though the short answers, solve question papers that we had discussed from 2014 to 2019 here. So it's a huge request from my side to please go through with the subscribe button, and please like, share and subscribe our channel so that many and maximum people can get the information at once. Thank you. Hope you enjoy this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and give a suggestion in the comment box. Thank you.